Hey guys, today we are going to do a lesson on what's called a study. And studies are on page 70 to 71. And if you'll look at these drawings, they are super meticulous, careful drawings that took a fairly long time to do. And so if you can see here, they've put every little wrinkle on the leather watch band. They've been careful to get every tiny little mark of the stitching. They've been very careful about the shading. And like, see here, all the strings on the ball. This has several different shades, like very light and then darker. It's got one, I would say 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different shades, 9, like lots of different shades. They're being very careful about, and it's not just like the super dark spots and the super light spots. It's several levels of shading, so they're being more careful about how much shading they do, and the difference between the very light to the medium to the dark to the darkest. So anyway, a study takes longer, and here's some of the guidelines they give on page 70. Slow your pace, and that's the biggest thing. And so this lesson may be more difficult for the younger kids, but for the older ones, plan to spend 2 or 3 hours. If you want to do a really, really good drawing, you want to spend more time. And we typically in our class only spend, 30 to 40 minutes at the most drawing one object. So this is where you can really just be picky and careful. Another thing is that they talk about breaking up contour lines. When you draw something, do it in little bitty marks so that you're being super meticulous about where the contour lines go. So here I am doing the Brussels sprout, and I'm not just drawing it out. I'm being very careful to make sure I double look at the object and look at my paper over and over and over again so that there's no guesswork. Another thing is, as far as detail goes, here I'm going to draw this in a little bit more. They're also making sure that you draw all of the detail. I mean, that's what makes it a study. So there's this line, and then there's like this little white spot there, and then we have a little space around here, and that line comes up. And I'm just going to sit here, and I'm just still doing tiny lines. And then, I'll do this next line, and it comes up there. Sometimes it helps to break it apart, like do the big lines first, and then it will be a little easier to know where the little lines go. And so see, now I can see this, and it comes up here. And see how slow I'm going and careful and light, because I can always go back in and shade it afterwards. So that's one of the ribs. And here's another rib. And even that, I'm just going very careful. And now it comes down. So you see how careful that is. That's the sort of thing we mean. Look at a leaf, and you can see that it has some very solid lines, lots of details. There's little holes, there's little dark spots and light spots with little circles around them. So that's one of the things about a study. You're looking at every little tiny detail on that object. And with a carrot, you can see that it has many little lines. If you turn it this way, you can see that it's got a really round spot. I wish I had the grassy stuff on the end. I wasn't thinking about that. But you can be very meticulous even with the carrot. You can see like hairline details, little specks of something sticking off. And the more detail you add, the more interesting the study will be. But every object has a lot of detail to it. And lots of light. See, there's a dark spot. There's a dark spot. This is a dark line. And so the shading is going to be very careful too, so that you really feel like you're just like seeing a lot in here. See, I like this. This is interesting. And then all these little Brussels sprouts are really cool. They have some interesting details. So that's our assignment today, is to do a study and to be slower and more careful. And also, I wanted to say that before you even do those extra steps, we want to follow our usual routine, which I had in this assignment, this page, which I can copy and send you guys. And it has step 1, underdraw. Step 2, develop the features, add contour lines. Then about adding the local color, and then a middle range. and then the shadow shape, and then the cast shadow and the local value. And we've talked all about this. So step by step, we'll do all of this. But instead of spending 30 minutes doing that, we'll spend 2 hours. Now, we're not going to stay on here for 2 hours, so we're going to do a shortened version. But for a study, you want to spend a couple of hours. So it's also important to make sure you've got good light and that your light doesn't change on you. So today, I would suggest taking a photo with your camera so that the light doesn't change on you. And making sure that whatever object you draw, you can see some shadow side to it. Like you can see the shadowy part of my Brussels sprout and the light side because the light is coming in from here. So anyway, that's an introduction to the lesson. I'm just running a quick video to try it out, and then we'll see how it goes when we actually do a Skype session.